dirty. And we do have... Wow!
Oh no!
You gotta be kidding
Oh
me.
my goodness!
We've been to super speedway, we've been to a short track, and now we are a road course. Race 3 of the playoffs brings us to the final road course event of the year. And for the newcomers, while you may know what this place is, well, we got a little surprise in store. As we come live here at Watkins Glen International for qualifying for round 25 of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series Race 3 of the playoffs. Hello everybody, my name is Alex Vitale. Welcome to Watkins Glen International in New York, one of the most popular tracks in all of North America and arguably of the world. Of course, is hosting has hosted NASCAR for many years. It was one of only for a long time one of only two road courses in the NASCAR Cup Series calendar alongside Sonoma before they started expanding to other markets like America, the Chicago Street Course, Mexico City, Circuit of the Americas, and now they're going to San Diego next year. But also it has hosted IndyCar races, IMSA races, and was, for its purposes, the first true home of the Formula 1 United States Grand Prix for 19 consecutive years, from 1961 up until 1980. And after two failed attempts in the previous 2 years at Sebring first and Riverside after. Yes, Formula 1 has raced at Sebring and Riverside. If you didn't know, now you do. But yeah, of course, we're not racing here in Formula 1 cars or any of these cars. We are racing in stock cars. And in terms of what I was saying in... actually, no, I should say probably that last year's race was quite an interesting beast. I mean, it was a good race, but... I'm pretty sure nobody even remembers the race. The first thing that I'm pretty sure, the first things that comes to mind in relation to what happened last year is the constant crashes that happened with the cars leaving the final corner and gunning into the main straight, either crashing into the water barrels at the entrance of pit entry, or at the entrance of pit entry at the pit entry wall, or the Trey Bartles flip after he hit the wall. He had to hit the barrier a little bit too hard, and of course other cars compounded the situation by making them flip. That's still a memory that I have in my. I'm actually looking at the. I have that crash in my eyes right now. So yeah, that is a. This is going to. Let's see if it's going to be exactly the same this year. But yeah. Before we can actually have before we can actually answer that question, first and foremost we have to deal with pre-qualifying first, and to nobody's surprise, it's still the usual suspect. So there's not really much. So there's no real reason to delve into that again. About what I was talking about the newcomers. Now, as I stated, you know what this track is. But you might be asking, what is the surprise that we have in store? What is the rabbit in the rabbit in the hat? What is the ace in the hole that the PSRLA has for this track? And well, you're going to see it in a few minutes. So I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to spoil the surprise. You'll see it once we get there, which is going to be right now. And Samaraskan will be the first one out of pit road. The Swedish driver for PS Motorsports coming out of 3 consecutive DNQs. So this has not been a good streak of races for the Swedish driver. Let's see if he can finally redeem that here at Watkins Glen. And here's the surprise I was talking about. We are skipping the bus stop for this race, but that's not all, because look at where Oskin is going. A little corner on the left. Yep, we are doing the boot section for today's race. Now, if you've been here last year, we were racing this layout last year. But for the newcomers, yeah, we're using the boot section. We are using the boot layout of Watkins Glen, and as you would expect, this caused this doubled the length of the track, which effectively caused the pre-qualifying to be extended to 10 minutes. And for its purposes, of the drivers on the grid right now, there's like a very few amount of people that actually that this is the first ever attempt here at this version of Watkins Glen. I can immediately think of Hunter Mendoza and Aubrey Gardner, I believe, and also Holly Anderson Jr., who have never raced here at Watkins Glen, being their first ever years. Alexander Rowe is another one that has never raced here. Other drivers, they have raced here, but in a completely different car. Like, for example, Ryan Little, Ginny Stamelio, Andrew Williams, all these guys raced here before, but in the Grand National Series car instead of the Cup car. So, for this purposes, for a good chunk for these guys, it's going to be the first ever appearance at the first ever taste of Watkins Glen with a Cup car. As in the meantime, someone else can start his lap. So of course, good brakes are going to be crucial here. As Oskan goes through the boot section. Of course, as we stated, this hosted as many races, including Formula One, and for this purposes, this track was the part of the first ever attempt it was part of the first attempt by Formula One to expand their influence in the United States. I say first because we got another one where their Formula One is currently undergoing a second one with 3 races in the United States, in Miami, Las Vegas, and of course Austin. As Sabalaskan is going to score his first lap, and it's going to be 147.1. There's Brett Ream and Arthur Mendoza behind them. But yeah, it was part of the first United States expansion by Formula One. And let's see what Ream and Mendoza's time is going to do. Mendoza does a 147.3 and Ream does a 147.4. Next up should be Tanner Parton. And behind them is Jack Haas. Jack Haas, who did race here, but with a completely different car. Not in terms of he was driving in the National Series, he was still in the Cup Series, but he was driving a DM Motorsports Toyota instead of the Tacoma Ford. Of course, I could say he was driving a completely different series entirely because just last year we were as Tanner Parton is going to hit the wall, so okay. So his lap is going to suffer. The same can be said for Jack Haas. 149.6 of course for Tanner Parton, 147.5 for Haas. Who has been setting it last year, who did already race here last year, but has Cal Sharp in a completely different team. It was for DM Motorsports instead of Tacoma Racing Enterprises. And of course, you can make the argument that the PSRLA Cup Series last year was a completely different series because it was all equal ratings instead of the ratings-based stuff that we have done this year. In the meantime, Aubrey Gardner is also going to hit the wall, but it's not going to be as bad as Parton. And 147.9 for Gardner. His time still suffered, as Oskan does not improve his time. Let's see what Ream and Mendoza are going to do next. Of course, Ream, same car, same team, different paint scheme. And Ream is going to avoid the wall. And let's see what these two are going to do. And Mendoza goes first. Actually, they both improve. Mendoza up to the lead, and Ream up to second. 146.1 for the 28, and 147 flat for the 25. And there's Ream's teammate in Jack Haas about to complete his second lap. 3:25 left on the clock now. So right now, Hunter Mendoza is currently the leader, and Tanner Pardon will be the one out of pre-qualifying. And Haas is going to almost hit the wall, and Pardon is not even going to attempt the second time. He will try and fix the damage, and Haas goes fourth, 147.5. Very much far, pretty much 4/10 away from Samuel Askin. Let's see RB Gardner. Right now he's on the bubble. Gardner would love to improve his time, and I also believe that's one of the drivers that on his first ever appearance here at Watkins Glen, because I'm pretty sure the Truck Series, because Gardner was the driver in the Truck Series last year, never raced at Watkins Glen, and he did improve his time, third fastest, 147.4. That's gonna dump Haas into the danger zone. Otscan does not improve his time. 2:15 left on the clock. We're looking at the first and second and first respectively, and they both avoid the wall. Is this going to be a good time for them? They're going to prove. The answer is going to be no. Now there's Jack Haas. Now he's on the bubble, and Tanner Pardon is still in the pits, still fixing the car for another go around. Let's see if the Firewall King mechanics are going to be quick enough to allow Pardon to at least score one good time. In the meantime, Haas is going to complete his lap. And he hits the wall, so, and yeah, he's gonna slow down, so this time is not gonna count. There's Gardner in third, there's Oscar in fourth, the two guys second and first. Actually, I believe that Mendoza and no, okay, they did not swap places. They're still second and first on track. In the meantime, let's see what time is Gardner going to do. Is he going to improve? He's not that far away from Redder Ream. And the answer is going to be no. Does Oscar improve? And the answer is also no. In the meantime, Pardon is still in the pits. And of course, I think that for Haas, that's pretty much game over for him. So right now, he's got to hope that Pardon does not actually get out of pit road in time, as neither of these two improve their times. Now Pardon has left, but I don't think there's enough time to actually score a time, or maybe there is. Depends on how quick is he going to do. How quick he's actually going through the track. One minute 10. Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to actually score a time. So I'm afraid Tanner Pardon will be out of pre-qualifying because of a crash at his first actual proper lap. 50 seconds left on first overtime. And Pardon is slowly getting caught up by Ream and Mendoza. Of course, if this was a race, I would assume those guys will be overtaking him by... Well, these guys will go past them relatively quickly. Let's see if Pardon is going to... He's going to avoid the wall, but not enough time to score a time, so that effectively settles it. Tanner Pardon will be out of pre-qualifying. While this man, Hunter Mendoza, will be joining the main event, top of the leaderboards, and of course followed by the other car that is currently chasing in Bradley Ream. Then there's Jackass in the pits. There is someone else. There's RB Gardner and someone else who looks like he's going to finally break the DNQ streak at 3 and finally join the main event. And indeed is going to be just that. So, Hunter Mendoza, Bradley Ream, RB Gardner, Samadoskan, and Jackass will join the rest of the field in the main event. And Tenapard, unfortunately, with that crash, we'll have to wave goodbye to everybody else. See you next week. And Samadoskan finally breaks a streak of 3 consecutive DNQs to finally be in the race. And with that, see you in qualifying. And Guillermo Vidal will be the first one out on pit road for qualifying. Guillermo Vidal, of course, a playoff driver. As Scout Taylor follows him suit, as does Samadoskan, who, as we stated, has interrupted a streak of 3 consecutive DNQs. For Guillermo Vidal, I'm pretty sure this is his first experience at Watkins Glen, if I'm correct, because he has raced only in the Canadian races, if I'm not being mistaken, last year as a part-timer for Evans Ross Racing. And of course, as I'm pretty sure everybody knows, he did pretty damn well in those races, and he also raced for Checker Flag in the Niagara National Series for the race of Montreal, and I believe he finished second, if I'm not being mistaken. But still, really good performances for Guillermo Vidal. And considering right now he's in the playoffs, those performances were not flukes. They definitely paid off. So yeah. But in the meantime, there's Monaco and Nicol joining the boot section. And as we stated, also as we stated, Anderson Jr. never did here. The Hunter Mendoza never raced here. Guillermo Vidal has never raced here, I'm pretty sure. Laura Koshmar has never raced here. Joshua Neely, as I'm pretty sure he's never raced here, at least not in a Grand National Series, at least not in a Cup car. Then what? Bryce Egan was Bryce Egan was in the trucks last year, so that's also the first experience of Watkins Glen for Bryce Egan. As you saw there, Guillermo Vidal finally started his flying lap. Ran a little, raced in the Grand National Series. Genius DeMello raced in the Grand National Series. Samadoskan was in the Cup Series. Charlie Davenport, that's another driver that never raced here. Tor Williams Jr., that's another driver down his first ever attempt here at Watkins Glen. So there's plenty of names. And Zane Davidson, that's another driver that has never raced here at Watkins Glen in the PSRLA. Of course, in terms of context, of course, we're still talking about in the context within the PSRLA, because I'm pretty sure Charlie Davenport has raced in the Mission Charlie Davenport raced in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, and they used the boot section there. So, and of course, all the drivers that have raced at the Watkins Glen over the World Cup Series, of course, they have raced before. What I mean is, all the stuff that I'm saying is in relation to the PSRLA. In the meantime, we're already 6 minutes and 25 left on the clock. And Guillermo Vidal is going to score his first ever lap time. Let's see if he's going to hit the wall. And the answer is, ooh, almost. It was pretty close. And, of course, 1:45.9 for Guillermo Vidal. Anybody also has done the times. Now everybody's still doing banker times. but I believe the next one should be Hunter Mendoza. No, it was Skylar Taylor, 145.8. Mendoza does 115.4, 159.4, as Roberto Crown Jr. goes third fastest. Oscar goes fourth fastest. Now there's Tom Sloan fifth, and of course all the drivers are scoring times. Right now Taylor is in pole position, followed by Movedel, Crown, and Samet Oskan. That's a surprise. Luke Evans, another surprise, currently in fifth. There's Alexander Rowe in sixth. As now Eric Monaco enters the top 5, the top 10, and so does Jack Haas. Of course, the big hitters, the winners. Reggie Fogelman scores third fastest time. Let's look at Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater goes top of the leaderboards, almost 6 seconds faster than Skylar Taylor. And Brendan Beal is going to be in 9th. There's Bradley Ream, George Giacomo, Duncan Ward. Duncan Ward also first experience here at Watkins Glen in a PSRLA Cup car. And Jeffrey Finguy is going to board his time. You saw there. And Zane Davidson is going to score second best time. Angel Gutierrez is in 5th. And now let's see if Movedel is going to improve his time. Of course, of all the drivers that, in fact, he does improve his time big time. Back on the provisional pole, as Egan goes 5th fastest, and now Koshmar goes 9th fastest. Now being dropped because Andrew Williams is now in 8th. There Gutierrez in 7th. Now Hunter Mendoza. What is going on with Mendoza? Mendoza is being awfully quick right now. He's being unusually quick right now. So this has been a really impressive result from Hunter Mendoza. He's currently in 5th, and he's doing some serious lap. He's doing some real serious lap times. And remember, a good chunk of these guys are all playoff drivers. As Troy Williams Jr. scores 4th fastest time. Let's look at Roberto Crown Jr. He's there on the cusp of the top 10. Behind them is Danny Johnson and Samet Oskan. Samet Oskan currently is in down in where is he? 26th. Still a great result for Oskan. Of course, there's Anthony Nicol. And Jonathan Carrison. Carrison is in 15th. And actually, I might as well check where Anthony Nicol is. He's in 27th. And now Zachary Fitzwater took back provisional pole. Now, of course, we look at one of the road course winners in Nathan Stapleton. Currently, he is in 18th. Actually, I might as well do a quick rundown of all the drivers that I won a road course. So Bryce Egan is in 10th. He won at Circuit of the Americas. Then is Angel Gutierrez. He won at Road America. Is in 12th. Andrew Williams is 14th. He has won at Watkins Glen. Nathan Stapleton has won in Mexico City. Is in 18th. Then of course Jeffrey Finguy. So that's to score a time 152.2, but of course he has to score a time still, so it doesn't really count. So let's hope that the Durrani engineers are going to fix the car in time, because of course a last place start would not be ideal for Finguy's championship hopes, especially considering that the guy is leading the championship. He's leading the playoff standings. 1 minute and 50 left on the clock. And of course, both Durrani cars are leading the both standings. Of course, we got the playoff standings still led by Finguy, and there's also the Best of the Rest Championship led by Zachary Fitzwater, and was currently still on provisional pole, 2/10 faster than the second best driver in Garrett Movedel. Bryce Egan in 3rd, of course. Fitzwater, great result last time at Iowa. It could have been a 1-2 finish for Durrani, but Bryce Egan was much more better in dealing with the lap traffic than Fitzwater was. We're still focused on Jeffrey Finguy. And he's going to clear the wall. But of course, Finguy should be on a banker lap. In fact, he is. As currently top 10 still is, as Oscar, Beal, and Perez are in the pits. As the current top 10 is Zachary Fitzwater, then is Guillermo Vidal, Bryce Egan, Blaine Keys, Richie Fogelman, Troy Williams Jr., Zane Davidson, Hunter Mendoza. Still, that's an incredible. That's a very, very good performance from Hunter Mendoza right now. Then we got Skylar Taylor, another great performance from another driver that was really disappointing season. And rounding up the rear of the field is the 21 car of Khaled Sostrai. Of course, now we're in overtime. We're still focused on Finguy, championship leader. Still has a score of time. But still, 8th place on Hunter Mendoza. I mean, I guess this happens when people actually, bother with their ratings. Even though it's extremely late into the season, and if we actually kept going good to 2026, Mendoza wouldn't have been allowed to join in on the grid again, because it didn't meet the threshold of ratings to automatically join in for next year. And Timothy for Williams and Racing would have been allowed to race at all next year because of the issues with the team owners, the team owner of Williams and Racing, as Finguy finally goes across the line, and it's going to be pole position for Jeffrey Finguy by oh my lord, by 8 thousandths, 8 tenths is Jeffrey Finguy's pole time. It's currently going to be a Durrani 1-2. And this, if this doesn't prove that Finguy really wants to win this championship, I don't know what does. If actually should say more, if this doesn't show just how good the Durrani cars have been this late in the season, I don't know what will. And one last overtime attempt, and I doubt anyone is actually going to even get anywhere near the monster time that Jeffrey Finguy just did. And more drivers in the pits. There is Zachary Fitzwater, his teammate. Again, as we stated, leader of the Best of the Rest Championship. And it's going to be a Durrani 1-2 here at Watkins Glen. And it is indeed official. Jeffrey Finguy and Zachary Fitzwater will lead the field to the green flag. The 41 and the 52 Durrani car, Ford Mustangs, will lead the field to the green flag. Third will be Guillermo Vidal. Fourth is Bryce Egan. Fifth is Blaine Keys. Really good performance for Blaine Keys. Then we got Richard Fogelman, Troy Williams Jr., Zane Davidson, Nathan Stapleton. And ladies and gentlemen, give it up to Hunter Mendoza. That was an incredible performance for Hunter Mendoza. Finguy did a monster time, but Mendoza, wow. We're so used to see him at the rear of the field. This was that. I have no idea what the Williams engineer put in that car today, but that car. This is definitely going to be a highlight of the season for Mendoza. And we still had 7 races left, so chances are they might be even that there's even going to be even more highlights for Mendoza to write. And of course, Skylar Taylor will be in 11th. Another great performance from another unusual performance from Skylar Taylor. And of course, rounding up the rear of the field will be Duncan Ward on a unusual bad performance for Duncan Ward, and Aubrey Gardner will be rounding up the top 40. Will be rounding up the rear of the field here at Watkins Glen. So the Durrani boys show their strength to start 1-2 here at Watkins Glen for tomorrow's race. And rounding up the rear of the field will be Duncan Ward on a very, very difficult qualifying session for him. And 40th will be Aubrey Gardner in a qualifying session that at this point it's basically normal administration for those PS Motorsports cars. But this was qualifying. The grid is set for race 3 of the playoffs. And there's pretty much nothing else to be said other than this has been a special presentation of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series 44/7 Network. I'm Alex Vitale, and see you tomorrow for the race. So long, everybody, from Watkins Glen.